All right, YouTube, this Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. It's Friday morning, and I got a real topic for you guys. And it's gonna make a lot of you mad. A lot of people gonna be mad. I can't wait to see you in the comments. Because what we finna talk about is how these renegade Democrats from the squad in Congress are attempting to attach Black Americans in the civil rights movement to Palestine as if that's our fight. Now, first of all, I'm from Detroit, largest congregation of Muslims and people from the Middle East in the country. And let me tell you something. When I was young as a kid and they first started migrating to Detroit, they were the most disrespectful and prejudiced people toward Black people in this country. So many Detroiters have lost their lives at their stores and at their businesses that it's unreal. All you got to do is Google it. It was so bad at one time, if their daughters got involved with a Black man in the city of Detroit, the father would unalive their own daughter because she disgraced the family, and unaliving the daughter would be considered honorable to their family. That's how much they despised us. Now, you look now, they want to co opt the Black experience, civil rights movement, and involve us in the Middle Eastern conflict we have nothing to do with. We have no dog in the fight. They like to quote Malcolm X. When Malcolm X first went to Arabia and was trying to get in Mecca, he was arrested and put in jail as a Black man because they didn't even consider him a Muslim. So now, all of a sudden, these renegades from the Democratic Party, like Cori Bush and Rashida Tlaib, they want to involve us in a conflict that goes against their own party, the own national interests of the United States. What do we have to really do with that? Oh, they want to talk about injustice. What about the genocide in the Congo? Do you know, did you people know that there's genocide in the Congo and in other places in Africa? Have you ever watched Hotel Rwanda to see what was talked about? Let's have a brief history lesson just for a minute. Have you ever been to Boston and you go down to the Boston Commons by the Boston Harbor? There's a big plaque made in the ground dedicated to Crispus Attucks, a Black man, the first casualty of war in the war against Great Britain with the colonialists. Yeah, Crispus Attucks. Do you think Crispus Attucks was ever a slave or somebody that got off Africa, that came from Africa, I mean? No, there was Black people already here with the colonists before the war, before the United States became a country. You ever heard of the Algonquin, the Huron, the Mohican, and the Mohawk that all lived in upstate New York and through that area? They're all gone now. But they fought the French. When the French came here, they fought the English. They even fought against the settlers till they learned to live together. This is the history that is in the very fiber of America. So now, with all we've been through in this country, we're going to let some people who come to this country on the backs of the civil rights movement compete with us for scholarships, compete with us for everything, say that we stand with them. No, we don't. No, we don't. The Arabs in Detroit have never stood with Black people. Never. They had so much disdain for us. You can drive through Detroit right now. They got some poor black man who's an alcoholic or suffers from some other kind of substance abuse sweeping their parking lots daily, and they pay them in alcohol. That's what they do. If you're from Detroit, you know every store that you go to, they got some sister behind the lottery machine, some poor soul of a black man sweeping their parking lots while they talk crazy to you when you come into their store. Then, if you steal a Twinkie out their store, they'll lock you in that store and do something to you. That's how much disdain that they have for you. And all of a sudden, you want to drag us into your conflict over there in the Middle East. First of all, Palestinians are not a race. They're Arabs who happen to live in Palestine alongside of Israelis. But they're Arabs. They're not some unique nationality of people. They're Arabs. That whole area is surrounded with Arabs. And their culture is so diametrically opposed to ours that it's ridiculous to even say we have an affinity towards them. Are you mad yet? Because this is all truth. Black men have fought in every war, in every conflict in this country, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War to the Korean War, Vietnam, World War One, World War Two, both wars under the Bushes in Iraq. Every war we fought, and we still consider second-class citizens. So all of a sudden now, we supposed to side with Arabs. We supposed to be so wrapped up and involved in their conflict. I think not. I think we should be offended that they even attempt to recruit our children who go to college into their situation. We work hard and save money to send our children to these colleges to become radicalized by our enemies. And you expect us to be so dim-witted that we can allow these renegades like Cori Bush and Rashida Tlaib to make us think that we have some type of vested interest in what's going on over there, while our communities descend into chaos. I was looking at the news, it's so much violence in the black community across this country, it's so much poverty. While these Democrats lying tell us the economy is good. And then you ones who want reparations, let me tell you something. You got a better chance of getting reparations from Trump than you ever will getting reparations from Biden. Because what they won't tell you, and you can Google this, Trump's family was one of the only old families who refused to own slaves and accumulate their wealth off slave labor. Did you know that? His family has never owned slaves, but they have demonized him to you. They tell you he's going to destroy democracy. Why they take the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment and all of that and censor you and call you anti-Semitic if you criticize what's going on in the Middle East. This is crazy. How intelligent are you for real? You know, the people get in my comments and sometimes they want to talk about the Bible and who are the people of the Bible and who's this and who's that. When in all actuality, most of you are ill informed about not only who you are, but the nature of the country, the nature of warfare, the nature of how this world runs under globalism. imperialists, the World Bank, UNICEF, and all these other organizations who dictate the flow of currency throughout the world. So are you going to let these politicians trick you into believing that these Arabs are your friend? Really? Are you mad yet? I don't care if you're mad. They be shadow banning my channel anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't like the things I say. But no lies detected in what I just told you as it relates to these Arabs and this conflict. Now, what about these protests with all these college students? You notice one thing, you don't see a lot of black men. You know why you don't see us? Because we've dealt with Arabs up close and personal. We know the prejudice they have. Even the so-called black Muslims in this country, they don't even consider them Muslims. Because on a whole nother level, what they call Islam is Arab nationalism. Yeah, Arab nationalism. So you mean to tell me all of a sudden we supposed to sympathize with foreign nationals who have no respect for us personally? Let's known the country. Let's known the flag. Let's get into this clip. Let's get in this clip so we can look at the rhetoric and the misinformation coming out of Congress, coming from the squad, the likes of Ilhan Omar, these foreign nationals that somehow work their way into the power of government. Let's check it out. This for fair use of the 1976 Copyright Act for educational purposes, commentary, and under the First Amendment. I'm standing on the First Amendment. Guess what? I've been here. My ancestors been here. They didn't get off no slave ships. We've been here. So let's check this out. All the way up, all the way up. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. All right, Sheeta. Okay, that sounds great. You all ready? I'm just saying you already. Yeah. Am I talking or no? You some good before. You do it. One, two. I didn't know it was going very slow. No, it's okay. All right. The mics are all hot, so yeah, it's fine. It's okay. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here. I am standing with my amazing sister in service, none other than the fighter, but the mother to so many of us, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. We are here and we're asking. Now look, this is Cori Bush, a Black American woman. She's standing with no other Black people, just her and a gang of Arabs, calling Rashida Tlaib her sister. Rashida Tlaib has done nothing for her district that has Black people in it and Black Americans. Her whole agenda is to support Arabs. And here, you know, they can always find some Black woman to step out and talk about somebody, they somebody's mama, they somebody's sister. You know what I mean? They don't got, you know, think about it. This is old. For everyone to. If you're a new business owner, you need guidance. Me right now. Taylor Brands guides you through your business journey. Respect the space. These students have been through a lot, and I just want to premise with that. But greetings, and thank you all for joining us. I am honored to be here today with student organizers from George Washington University, some of whom were just released from jail mere hours ago after being arrested. After preparing this. Y'all know George Washington rolling over in his grave, right?
Week, Congresswoman Tlaib and I, for a sham hearing that Republicans had called to pressure the DC government to oppose student organizing under the guise of combating anti-Semitism, which they perpetuate openly and frequently. We woke up this morning to the disturbing news that DC's Metropolitan Police Department had raided the GW Gaza Solidarity Encampment and assaulted, pepper sprayed, and arrested the nonviolent student protesters in the middle of the night while you were sleeping. This is all happening because those who refuse to stop the ongoing genocide in Gaza think they can arrest and brutalize their way out of this situation. They think.
Why she don't care about the genocide that's going on in the Congo? She calls herself African American. The Congo, the genocide that's been going on in the Congo since Leopold the Great. That's nothing. That's nothing to her. You know, she has a love for Arabs, unnatural, ungodly love for Arabs.
They can intimidate and erase the overwhelming voices for peace and justice. They think they can jail dissenters and silence the wide consensus among people in this country that there should be an immediate and permanent ceasefire. These students are here today to demonstrate that they refuse to be silent. That's right. From GWU to WashU and everywhere else, students have been violently beaten without provocation. They have been arrested and charged with disproportionate offenses. They have been suspended and barred from campus. They have been denied access to food and medical services, the care on campus. They have been barred from walking across the stage at graduation.
The nerve and sense of entitlement. These protesters want you to bring them lunch. They do. We're protesting. We got an encampment. Bring us room service. Really?
They have been wrongfully smeared as anti-Semitic in a shameful attempt to erase the humanity of the many Jewish students that have been instrumental in these protests. I know what these tactics feel like. I will never forget the brutality that we faced on the streets of Ferguson in response to our calls to end police brutality. Police used tear gas, pepper spray, rubber bullets, noise munitions, batons, shields, fists, and boots against us. The Missouri National Guard called us enemy forces. Our government labeled us as...
Let me tell you what Cori Bush did. She was going around the country screaming, defund the police, but spent almost $500,000 in security for herself of off-duty police officers. She said defund the police and take them from protecting the neighborhoods in the community, but then she hired as many police as she could, including her husband, to protect her. Really? You ain't seeing no black Americans talking about defund the police? If you defund the police in the black community, what is that? What does that really look like to you? It looks like chaos and anarchy. Because there's not enough unity for us to protect ourselves. Really? Don't nobody in Detroit, in the hood, in the community, want to defund the police but the criminals.
Black identity extremists. Politicians condemned us. Those of us on the front lines were traumatized, but we knew that the time would come that would prove that we were on the right side of history, and it did. Time will prove the same for the students currently protesting across the country. Behind every attempt to silence a protester is an idea that those in power don't want people to hear. Students are protesting all across the country because they believe our government has failed to recognize the common humanity of all people. They're protesting because they oppose our government's silence and complicity in the death of at least 35,000 Palestinians. They're protesting our government's complicity in a genocide and humanitarian crisis of famine, disease, and other pervasive suffering. And they are protesting their university's complicity in these mass atrocities, including Netanyahu's ongoing.
So you mean to tell me, as a black man from Detroit, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to stand with the Arabs that come to my community and treat us like second-class citizens and sell us alcohol, pork that they don't eat? Go in their stores. They got pickled pig feet, Vienna sausages, every kind of liquor you can think of, every kind of paraphernalia. They come over there and they sell it to us. Why they call it forbidden for them to consume. These are the people that you want us to stand with. Like, I don't know, in other cities, have y'all ever even lived around these Arabs? When they have a large group and they get this government funding that helps them buy the stores and so they can bring the rotten meat and the liquor and the paraphernalias and sell it to you all day long, open their store at 8 in the morning and don't close their stores to 2, getting the whole community poisoned and still talk crazy to you in their own language. You don't even know what they're calling you sometimes. Really?
Invasion in Rafah, where over 1 million people, including 600,000 children, are sheltering with nowhere to go. Look, protest isn't meant to be comfortable. It is meant to be disruptive. And if you don't want folks to protest, then prioritize humanity over profit, humanity over your donors, humanity over your property. This is how justice is won, though. It was true during the women's suffrage movement where young women were.
Now she finna tie the women's movement in it because you know the feminists and everybody else, they got to be united as if they're blocked. Why don't you prioritize economic development in the black community? Why don't you prioritize equality in the workforce so that black people can have a better standard of living? Why don't you prioritize taking care of the veterans that are homeless all through this country? Prioritize something that we care about for real. You want to see, that's why y'all recruiting the youth, because they're disillusioned. Do you really think for real that the working everyday black American man and woman cares about what's going on in the Middle East? It's been going on in the Middle East all of our lives. And they still will come from over there and look down their nose and be an enemy to us in our own communities. Let's keep it real.
Arrested, jailed, and force-fed, which led to the ratification of the 19th Amendment. It was true during the civil rights movement when students led freedom rides, lunch counter sit-ins, and boycotts, which culminated in the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the.
And it had nothing to do with Arabs. It had everything to do with ex-slaves and ex-Native Americans who were seeking to have equality and protection of the Constitution in a country that they had been in for hundreds of years. It had nothing to do with foreign nationals and what was going on the other side of the country. The founding fathers never organized the colonies to be the global police. This ain't our business, Corey.
Voting Rights Act of 65. It was true during the student-led movement against the Vietnam War, when organizing at universities, the movement to resist the draft, and the youth-led nationwide movement. Those protests led to the end of the war and campaigns to divest from South.
Let's talk about the Vietnam War. Of course, we didn't want to go over there as black men and fight in Vietnam. That's why they called us draft dodgers. That's why Muhammad Ali said that he wouldn't go. Y'all remember that? They locked Muhammad Ali up because Muhammad Ali said, I'm not going over there. and they took the title belt from him. But that was a manipulation to go over there and intervene between North and South Vietnam. Wasn't our business then. This was some type of radical governmental plan to go over there and fight a proxy war against Russia. Did you notice that all the Vietnamese had AK-47s, Kalashnikovs? Think about it.
Africa by students led to the end of apartheid. Throughout history, people chose not to listen to the students with the vision and the courage. Today, I invite my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join me and my sister Rashida Tlaib and these brave students on the right side of history. We must hear the demands of these students because we believe strongly that change must happen. Change must happen. And until it does, our days cannot go on as usual. Free Palestine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I now turn it over to all right, we're going to turn it over to my sister in service, the only Palestinian American in the United States Congress who deserves our respect, our love,
She's the only Palestinian in Congress, and she's one too many, just like the Somalian one, Ilhan Omar. They're one too many. Please. Y'all don't want to say it? Y'all done got so liberal that y'all don't care who speaks for you, what their agenda is, just long as they can say, okay, we a person of color. Really? That ain't what y'all say when y'all get some money.
Deserve all of our love and our honor. You're gonna make me cry. I'm gonna make myself cry. You're gonna make me cry. She does this all the time because you deserve that respect. I know, but and if I look at her,
what has Talib Rashid done deserves respect?
We will hear from Miriam Siegel, Motaz Salim, and Callie.
Send professional invoices and get paid faster with the QuickBooks mobile app. Know when they've been viewed and know when you're paid.
Thank you so much. All honor is to these amazing, incredible students. Free, free
Palestine.
Free, free
Palestine.
Free
Palestine.
I wanted all the Democrats and Republicans to know they cannot arrest their way out of this growing dissent. Every corner of our country, people of different faiths, different colors, skin, ethnicity, backgrounds of different types are coming together and saying Palestinians deserve to live.
Yes, right.
And that's something that, again, we should honor and respect and love on all of them for saying that over and over again. Last night, under the cover of darkness, when Mayor Browser was set to testify before Congress, before our committee, police pepper sprayed, brutalized, and arrested nonviolent student protesters at George Washington University at 3 a.m. Shame! This is an explicit attempt to repress students exercising their First Amendment rights to protest their university's complicit actions in on behalf of Israel's government's genocide of Palestinians. I want it to be clear. These students' First Amendment right does not end when they enter this campus grounds. It always stays on them as Americans, as people, as human beings here in this country. It is outrageous that police are now entering college campuses across our nation with the...
I just got a question. And I don't never really give the Middle East no airplay on my channel. But what did Hamas think Israel would do after October the 7th? In their mind, in Hamas's mind, what did they think would be the consequences for their movement on Israel in that moment? They had to know that retaliation would be disproportionate to what they did. But why Rashida Tlaib don't want to talk about that? See, I'm not even really finna get into the politics of it because, like I said, I don't think it's the black American man's business. You know what I mean? Because they've never stood with us on anything. No matter how they try to sweet talk it and tie it into the civil rights movement and the summons up Malcolm X and Martin Luther King's memories or whatever. This ain't what time it is for us.
Guns drawn, targeting students with pepper spray, tear gas, rubber bullets, and tasers. Shame. Shame. It is incredibly disturbing, though, you all, that my colleagues are so quick to denounce the student protesters, but are silent about these young people, about why they are protesting. You know, when Corey and I reached out to them, and I know Corey's been amazing in making sure she's staying in touch with them. I think both of us as a mama bear want to make sure they're okay. You know what they asked? They asked, please, don't be distracted. Please talk about Palestine. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
There are no universities left in Gaza. Israeli forces have killed over 35,000 Palestinians. They have slaughtered over 14,000 children. The entire population of Gaza is on the brink of starvation. Israeli forces are currently invading Rafah, where 1.5 Palestinians, including over 600 children, are trapped, living in makeshift tents without food, clean water, sanitation, medicine, or any form of shelter. To hear that a mother has to choose which child she's going to feed in Gaza, shameful. There is nowhere safe in Gaza, as the students have been trying to tell us over and over again. They've been trying to tell us nearly 80% of the civilian infrastructure has been destroyed. They've been telling us stop funding a genocide. All across Gaza, the medical system has been deliberately destroyed, intentionally. That is a war crime. Students are putting their bodies on the line to demand their university divest from the same weapon manufacturers that are sending bombs to murder innocent children in Gaza. We will not stop in defending these students until this end is going to happen in regards to the genocide. It must end. Until there is an immediate permanent ceasefire that includes complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza and the release of all hostages and arbitrarily detained Palestinians. Look, these students are saying save lives no matter faith or ethnicity.
That's right.
This is something that I feel like is being completely ignored. Why are they out there? This is why we're proud. We're proud to use our position in office to bring these voices so you all don't forget why there are encampments, why there are movements in dissent around this country. With that, I'm going to have Callie, come on up. Sorry, I made it very Arabic. So.
Hi, everybody. We're going to be giving a statement on behalf of the DMV Students for Justice in Palestine, as well as the George Washington Student Coalition for Palestine. I'll open, and then two of my beloved friends and organizers will continue the statement. My name is Callie. As Israel's US-backed genocidal campaign of Gaza wages on for its 8th month, as Israel has slaughtered over 40,000 Palestinians and displaced nearly every single person in Gaza while holding them under siege in an open-air prison, now with no means of escape, we as American college students recognize that it is our moral imperative as human beings to take a firm stance against the complicity of our universities in this genocide and all atrocities that Israel has committed against the indigenous Palestinian people for over 75 years. 2 weeks ago, students across the DC metropolitan area joined a national fight for justice. Our encampment in solidarity with Palestinians and protests against the ongoing genocide in Gaza was quickly met with overwhelming community support, more than we could have ever imagined. We quickly found fellowship in our collective rage against institutions upholding the genocide. Our demands for our universities across the DMV, including George Washington University, Georgetown, American, Gallaudet, George Mason, Howard, the University of Maryland College Park, and the University of Maryland Baltimore County, are disclosure of financial ties to corporations complicit in the slaughter of Palestinians, divestment from all such corporations, an end of all academic ties to Zionist Israeli institutions, which have always been fundamental to upholding the state systems of settler colonialism, apartheid, occupation, and genocide, protection of pro-Palestine speech on campus, and amnesty for all students who have been disciplined for such free speech.
Stuck in a credit hole? Try Self. Unlock Self's credit builder account. Build credit history and
Already. These demands were always meant to be settled over a negotiations table. We repeatedly stressed to our administration and to our university president, Ellen Granberg, that we were willing to negotiate through the kind of dialogue our universities claim to encourage. From day one of our encampment, our GW student negotiation team has invited President Granberg to the table so that they could dialogue and come to an agreement. Instead of inching towards an agreement on any terms, members of the administration at GW have publicly lied about engaging with us while working to violently clear our encampment with police violence since the first night. Since day one, we have understood the monster before us. It is a collusion of academic institutions, administrations, police, Congress, and the state at large to protect the interests of the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land. They have affirmed a blatant mischaracterization of these encampments, naming them as anti-Semitic and dangerous in order to justify the carceral crackdown on student territory we've seen across the nation.
Our encampment hosted 2 Shabbat services and a bat mitzvah. A local synagogue has even provided a Torah.
Enough of that. You can find it on there. You have people like Mark Lamont Hill and other Democratic shields who seem to be divided against themselves, who seem to just push this propaganda and this narrative as if they want to bring Black Americans into this conflict and into this debate. And I say, no. No, we don't have anything to do with what y'all doing in the Middle East. Y'all been doing it for over 75 years. Y'all been fighting over a strip of land. Y'all can't live together. And then when you come here and you live amongst us, you want to oppress us and look down your nose at Black Americans. How dare you attach the civil rights movement and what went on in the 60s and 70s with us to that? It's unacceptable. And I'm so glad that when you look at these pictures, you see Arabs and you don't see us. I know a lot of you may not like what I'm saying. I don't care. I lived among Arabs. I know what they really think about Black Americans. This is fake. When they try to act like it's some type of unity, why you think Cori Bush is the only one out there standing with them? You don't even see another Black person. Enough of this. I'm giving this too much time on my channel. Silent to you are Detroit. This is Detroit's HPTV. Keep y'all head on a swivel. Salute to all patriots. Like, share, and subscribe. Support the channel, patriots.